Being about 62 years old, as I read this, I just thought, how foolish Daniel would have been if he had played...
Interrupt this program now for a special report from Jim Underwood at the scene of the shooting.
I'm now in the courthouse, Street. I was in a car, 7 cars behind the president during the parade from Love Field through downtown Dallas. As the car I was in made the turn at Elm and Houston and started down for the triple underpass, I heard 3 loud shots seemingly from right over my head. There was so much confusion with people running, I thought at first that some of the spectators farther down the street toward the Elm Street underpass had been hit. I saw many of them throw themselves flat on the ground, and the police officers started blowing whistles and running for the scene. I leaped out of the car I was in the parade and ran for the scene also. Then the chase, and it actually was not a chase at the time, but the crowd started streaming through the railroad yards just past the Texas School Book Depository building. They searched through train cars and through the road yards, could find no one, and then the police officers found an 11-year-old colored boy named Eunice, that was his last name, who said that he looked up after the first shot and saw a colored man lean out of about the 4th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository building and fire 2 more shots. The police are now surrounding the area down here. Sirens are screaming. And evidently, police believe that the man who fired the shots is still in the Texas School Book Depository building at the corner of Elm and Houston in downtown.
We return you now to our regular program.
Man of God. So he handled the innkeeper with this same spirit. They weren't playing games. They really meant to get rid of him. And if they had their way, they were sure enough going to kill him. And so they had him thrown into a den of lions. But the angel of the Lord interfered and kept Daniel that night, and the story went, the king was upset about the...
We interrupt this program for a CBS Radio Net Alert Bulletin.
This is Alan Jackson reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York with more details on the incident which just occurred in Dallas a short while ago, where President Kennedy has been wounded by a would-be assassin. He and Texas Governor Connally were shot from ambush as their motorcade drove through Dallas shortly after the president arrived in the city on the 2nd day of his tour. So far, there's no indication of how seriously either man was injured. Both were lying flat in their car as the automobile sped off to a hospital. Both men have been taken to the Park Lane Hospital in Dallas for treatment. The incident occurred just east of the triple underpass facing a park in downtown Dallas. Reporters in the motorcade with the presidential party were about 5 car lengths behind the chief executive's car at the time. One of our correspondents on the scene is now in contact with us, so let's switch now to news correspondent Dan Rather in Dallas.
Dallas police have just confirmed that Texas Governor John Connally also was shot at the same time as President Kennedy, as the 2 men rode in the same car in a motorcade from downtown Dallas toward the Dallas Trade Mart, where President Kennedy was to have made a speech. Pandemonium broke out at the scene of the shooting as 3 shots emerged from somewhere in the crowd. The crowd along the route of the motorcade was 4 and 5 lines deep. At the time of the shooting, the motorcade was passing at least 3 buildings, more than 3 stories. One child, aged 7, told authorities that he saw a man lean out of the 5th floor of one of the buildings and fire the shots. Police and Secret Service agents now have that building surrounded and are going through the building in a systematic search. Still, another witness at the scene said this man was an adult, said he thought he saw a man and a woman crawling along a walkway over the motorcade route, and that this adult said it was possible that that man and woman could have fired the shots. Dallas police say they have no information on the condition of either President Kennedy or Texas Governor John Connally. Several reporters who were in the motorcade said that Mr. Kennedy had blood on his head as he was taken into an ambulance and rushed to Dallas's Parkland Hospital, just a few blocks from the Trade Mart where he was to have made the speech. This is Dan Rather in Dallas, Texas.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt CBS momentarily for a local bulletin with Joe Scott.
Thank you. We're down here at the scene of the current manhunt that must be over 2 dozen squad cars blocking the intersection. of Elm and Houston Street. Steve Perringer just returned from the building where they think they have this man surrounded, or where he shot from, and they found 4 shells on the... What floor was it on, Steve? Joe, Jerry Hill with the Dallas Police Department just leaned out a window there. It looked to me like he was on the 4th floor, and told police to call the Dallas Crime Laboratory to the scene. Apparently they found some shells there in that room here in the Texas School Book Depository building at Elm and Field Street. So other police officers currently have the scene surrounded, while still more with shotguns are searching out the building at this time. But there have been some shells found, I believe, on the 4th floor in the police crime lab, currently en route to the scene as the search continues. All right, this building, the window from which they were fired from, is a block away from the President's motorcade route. Elm, Main, and Commerce are the streets. He was on Main. This building is on Elm. They have brought the fire department rescue squad to the scene. We now have several witnesses being taken to Sheriff Bill Decker's office for further questioning. A fire truck is here. They're fixing to put a ladder up to the building to continue their search at this point. So far, no one has been apprehended, but more than a score of Dallas policemen are standing with riot guns or shotguns poised on their hip, ready and looking upward. This is Joe Scott from the scene, now returning you to KRLD News. Further reports when they're available.
And now to CBS.
Gave reporters a description of what he saw as the president was shot and as his car followed the presidential limousine from downtown Dallas to the hospital. Senator Yarborough told newsmen that he heard 3 shots. He did not see where they came from, but he thought he heard 3. He said he then saw a Secret Service man beating his fist on the president's limousine. Senator Yarborough told newsmen it was too horrible to describe, but he did tell reporters that both Governor Connolly and the president were gravely injured.
Now we interrupt CBS and go to Steve Perringer.
Intersection of Field and Elm Street, officers and Secret Service agents, apparently Secret Service agents, have just taken a man who appears to be about 25 years of age into custody. He's been taken to the Dallas County Sheriff's office. He was arrested across the street here where he stood in a large crowd. The man, as we said, about 25 years old, denied any knowledge of the shooting. He said that he had gone to the depository merely to use the telephone. Other radio reports filtering in here at this time indicate that officers also have another suspect north of this location that they are checking out. A flurry of activity here. The Dallas Fire Department currently on the scene. Shotgun-armed officers completely around this school book depository building, searching it out. As we told you earlier, Jerry Hill with the Dallas Police Department yelled from a 4th floor window that he had found some cartridges, spent cartridges, in a 4th floor room. So that's about the wrap-up from here, Jay. This 25-year-old suspect has been taken to the Dallas County Sheriff's Office for further questioning. Steve Perringer reporting for KRLD News.
And now we return you to CBS.
Let's go back to Dallas. Here's another report by correspondent Dan Rather.
The Dallas County Sheriff's Office reports it has arrested a 25-year-old suspect, a man suspected of possibly being connected with the shooting of President John Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connolly. Also from the scene of the area where the President and Texas Governor were shot shortly after noon, Central Standard Time today, the police continue their search around a 5-story building in which 4 empty cartridges were found on the 5th floor. Another report from the scene of the shooting seems to confirm that 1 Secret Service agent was killed at the same time President Kennedy and Governor Connolly were shot. This is Dan Rather in Dallas, Texas.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States is dead. John F. Kennedy has died of the wounds received in an assassination in Dallas less than an hour ago. We repeat, it has just been announced that President Kennedy is dead.